What is up, guys? Fado82 coming at you with another look at Rust Cribs, in which we take a look at some of the more noteworthy base designs during the past week on the US Rustopia server. Right off the bat, we're taking a look at some building activity by the LQM clan. As usual, they were very industrious, building various buildings across the landscape, with their crowning achievement being a massive water base with a very large footprint that was designed by their master builder and architect Plague. As you guys probably know, water bases are very resource and labor intensive to build, and this was no exception to that rule. Many people died building this base, and lots of food and bandages had to be used in order to construct this. What might be most apparent when you look at it is this black metallic sheen that it has to it. These are actually huge wooden signs that have been placed on the base. Beyond being aesthetically pleasing, they actually serve two purposes. They help to prevent against ladder raiding because you can't place ladders on top of signs, and they also help to eat up rockets if rockets are incoming towards the base, because the rocket will first have to destroy the sign before it can get through the wall. So it serves two purposes there. The base has some shooting ports, which is always good to employ in your defensive measures. That's great to defend from. As we take a look underwater, you can get a sense of the massive footprint of this base. Even to build up to the point where it was sticking out of the water is a massive achievement. Now, as usual with a water base, the primary tool cupboard is hidden underwater. There's also some secret loot rooms under there too, which is pretty cool. How the raiders will get to the base would probably be swimming to it. They can't build up to it due to building privilege, but how the defenders get in and out of the base is by a modified bridge system that they have out here. So they build twig tiles in the empty spaces here, and the bridges itself cannot be jumped from one to the other. They're spaced out proportionally where you can't quite jump to the next one. So very smart building decision and a minimal resource investment in order to get in and out of the base. Really an interesting concept, and I really like what they did on the water-based design here. As you can see out front, they have a tower with a crow's nest, which is always good to have that vantage point to defend from, and that's stuff you always want to employ in your base designs. You can see something poking out here in the water, and it's actually a lonely quarry. They can actually be used in the water, and yes, they do work in the water, believe it or not. And this compound is under the ever-watchful gaze of Sauron. The Eye of Sauron looks out over this compound, making sure all the members are hard at work and that no one is slacking off, lest they feel the wrath of the Dark Master. Nice homage to Lord of the Rings and pretty cool stuff. I always like it when players get creative. But getting to the base itself, it's a massive footprint. They're starting to wall off a large tract of land here in order to call their own. The quarry is housed separately from the main base, separating work from pleasure. Always good stuff. And as you can take a look as we pan out here, you'll notice that that wall is starting to snake around a Rad Town. So they were trying to claim this Rad Town for their own. Now, this is always a point of contention on a server, so it's something that can be done if players want to invest the time and resources into it, and then it sort of gives other players a chance to reclaim that Rad Town and makes it a bit of a flashpoint on the server. So think what you will of it. It's an interesting design concept, but one that does bring with it a lot of added scrutiny. So taking a look at the main base here, you'll notice there's various ledges which help to mitigate against ladder raiding. Certainly those can be taken out with rockets and ladders can go up, but the tower itself is a really good concept. It gives the defenders a high point of view to defend from, and it's a really interesting design. And a player-run tavern popped up this week on the US Rustopia server. It was the go-to spot for meeting up with other players, for trading items, for commerce. It had a general store, it had rooms to rent, it had tables to sit at and share stories with your fellow players. It was a very interesting concept and a very interesting social experiment. Being that it's Rust, as you can imagine, there was a fair bit of drama that came along with it, and tensions did tend to run a bit hot.
John, hey, what's going on, John? Is this true? You're stealing this guy's stuff? Or?
What the fuck you talking about, bro? I got like two other places to live. I just had a bunch of shit in here because this was actually mine. Like, I could actually think this was protected. This was actually a place of, refuge.
Oh.
But instead, it's actually a place of corrupt administration agreeing to let me leave. But instead of letting me leave, kill me, take my things, and destroy my sleeping bag. While disregarding the prior agreement. That's pathetic.
Oh.
Y'all are pathetic. You especially, John the Tribesman. Yeah, kill me to take your fucking anger out, make you feel better, right? Because that's what he did before, he took all my shit too.
Hey, some nice human meat here, yeah.
And Murdoch and his men decided they wanted to live underground this week on the US Rustopia server. They commandeered a cave and they promptly walled it off, making a massive compound, making the cave much more secure. You'll notice the outer wall has ledges, which are going to help against ladder raids. To get up over there, you'll need to rocket it and then put a ladder to get up inside. But once you're inside, you're going to be met with other obstacles in here as well. There are towers on each end of the base. And what I want you guys to take note of is that these towers have signs on them that give the towers each their own number. And they also have directions on the wall from using the signs. Again, this is very important. I've talked about it in previous Rust Cribs videos. It's very confusing in a firefight to know which way to go, you know, what to do. So if you could have something indicating which way is west, which way is south, or if you say Tower 1 and people know where that is, it's much easier to coordinate your efforts. So this is a very good move and you guys want to use signs that way. This is the entrance to the cave base here, so you can see that hidden in this compound is an entrance to a cave, which makes it much more secure. Cave bases do have inherent vulnerabilities. This makes it much more secure. Very interesting design. Murdoch is not only a great base builder, but also a fantastic artist. He had a nice sign that had the Fado symbol on it too, but we're not that vain where we're going to have to show that off. So coming out here, what I like most about this base is the area that it was built on gives it a natural bit of security, where to the west of it there is a bit of a ravine and it's very difficult to traverse that. Looking at this compound here, this is the Yar compound. So they're a bit of salty pirates on the US Rustopia server. They do quite a bit of raiding, and it looks like they did get raided because one of the bases does have a hole in the side of it. But what you guys want to take note of in this compound is that they're doing some things smart here, which you want to do when you're building in Rust, and you're not limiting yourself to one base. So while this is one single compound for the most part, there are in the compound multiple buildings, so they're separating their loot. The SCE clan decided to take over their own slice of heaven here, walling off an island and building a small circular base there. Not too astonishing, but it's pretty cool to see the amount of effort that can go in when players decide to put something together, and to have their own island paradise is, I think, really interesting. So you'll take note that the main base here has the circular ledges, which are going to help against rockets and ladders, like we've said before, but we want to impress that upon you guys because it's so very important. Panning out, you can see that the island is somewhat separated, so you're going to take a bit of water to go there. Very interesting and pretty cool stuff. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Fado82, peace.
You have the smallest dick I've seen in game, Shy-Tao. Literally.
Damn.
You have the smallest
I am honored of it.
smallest dick I've ever seen in the game.